Soviets in Belarus. But she escaped. She fought back as a partisan. She survived. "498 days later, Sasha came home. Against all odds, he returned. A miracle, the fourth generation to survive the darkest of places and emerge with light." Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we honor true heroes of our nation. Please join me in welcoming Sasha Troufanov and Sapir Cohen.
My story begins 6 months before the October 7. I had anxieties. I felt that something very bad will happen to me, and I didn't know why. Because my life in that time was very good. I had a good job, and I met Sasha. During the time when I saw that nothing happened to me, I thought that maybe I have a very bad illness in my body and I just need to discover it. I decided to go to many doctors and I did all the possible tests. One of the doctors told me, yes, you have a virus in your body, but it's not dangerous as your feelings. I didn't believe him because my feelings were so bad and so strong. I felt that I'm standing in front of a very bad situation that just God can keep me. And for the first time in my life, I decided to pray. I was looking for a prayer for complete recovery. And one day a prayer appeared in my Instagram. It was a chapter in Tehillim. And they wrote there that if you read it for 30 days, you will be healthy and miracles will happen to you. So I'm saying it's a great deal. This is what I wanted. From that day, I decided to say the prayer every day, 30 days. After maybe 2 weeks, I remember the whole prayer, and it's very surprised me because I never remember things. And then I noticed to the words that I'm saying, and the prayer not related to recovery, it's related to war. And God saved me from the enemies. And even in Hebrew, the word Hamas appeared there. And I remember that I asked myself why I prayed this, from which war I prayed to be saved. On October 7, me and Sasha decided to go to Kibbutz Nir Oz to celebrate Simchat Torah with his family. In that weekend, Sasha doesn't want to go, but I'm saying, Sasha, we have to go. I want to go to the last day for the pool, and I convinced him. On Saturday, we woke up at 6 a.m. because we heard the alarms. It was a rain of rock. It's very, very strong. We were in a guest room with no shelter. And then, after maybe an hour, the terrorist came inside. We hid under the bed because there is no place to hide there. And then I heard Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. I heard the terrorist screams and they shooting everywhere, everyone, and it felt that we are just waiting to our turn. I was terrified in that moment. I was so scared. I was shaking. All my body was water. And the only thing that I had is my prayer. I decided to say it again and again and again. And then I realized that the October 7 is the day number 30, the last day that I supposed to say this prayer.
Well, on October 7, as Sapir described, the terrorist got inside the room we were staying in. We were under the bed, trying to find a safe place from the rockets, nowhere to hide. When the terrorists came in, first of all, they shut the lock and came through the door. The terrorists started surveying the little room we were staying in. He found us very quickly, and then I found myself with a rifle pointing at me. He called for his friends to come inside, so they stormed like 8 other terrorists inside the room we were staying. So more guns are pointing at me right now. They started to shout at Arabic, things I do not understand, and I started to shout at them like in English, just we are civilians, leave us alone, or something like that. Of course it didn't work, and I understand that, well, the situation is not gonna get better. I started to ask them for clothes because we were sleeping before, and I weren't wearing anything except my underwear, and she was wearing a nightie. They didn't understand what we trying to say. They gave me a pair of pants, my jeans, and started shouting at us and told me to get on my knees. One of them punched me in the face, and then I understand that if we are not going to move right now and we'll keep trying to talk these things out, it's not going to work and the situation is going to get worse. So they took us out of the room. I remember that when we got out, just in the entrance of the room, I got stabbed in my shoulder by one of the terrorists that was behind me, just from rage. I remember they took Sapir a little bit to the right. They separated her from the group that got inside the house, and I was led 50 meters ahead to a motorcycle. My head was always down. They kept my head down so I couldn't see what is going on around me. But I remember thinking to myself, how can I get out of the situation and how can I get Sapir to safety? I felt that, well, the army is fighting them because we heard shootings and fire exchange before. What I thought it was a fire exchange, actually it was the terrorists shooting at houses and people and everything. There was no army at that day, but I didn't know it at that time. So I decided to do something which is now, I look at it, it's not the smartest thing, but I shook myself from them and started running. And the minute I did so, I understand that the situation is a lot worse than I thought. There were so many terrorists encountering me like while I was running. And after 50 meters or so, I stopped in front of my parents' porch with 2 other terrorists pointing guns at me, and the group I shook off is running after me. They catch me, shoot me in my legs, open my head, split my head open, and lift me on a motorcycle and took me to Gaza. I remember the pain was sharp. I understood that everything is like lost. I may not see my home again, my parents again, my girlfriend again, and I didn't know what is going on with my grandmother, which is also in the kibbutz. It took some time while I was in Gaza to understand that they all got kidnapped. At least I thought so, because in a later stage when I got out, I understood that my father got killed that day. So on the way to Gaza, they exchanged and put me inside a car and put me inside a house in Gaza. And it didn't take me to the hospital or so. Anyway, they made something to hold my leg together for it not to move because it's broken completely. And I was very sorry for me a lot that day and the days later. I said how it happened to me. Everything is lost, and it's a very painful, and I'm in pain and constant pain. And after a week, actually, in being in one of the houses, they understood that it's not going to work that way, and they need to move me to a hospital. Things got a little bit complicated when they tried to get me out, and we ended up in a new place where it's the first and the only time I saw one of the terrorists that knew a little bit of English. And from that point, like for a period of 40 days, I learned a vocabulary in Arabic that was sufficient enough for me to keep learning Arabic by myself during the time of my captivity. And I think that a turning point in the events was when I heard that my mother and my grandmother and Sapir got out on the first deal that was signed in November 2023.
After 55 days, I came back to Israel, and it was a very big miracle because I wasn't in the list. I wasn't a part of the categories that Hamas released. And when I came back, at first, I was very sad because I discovered that Sasha kidnapped. I didn't know that. And I just go to my room, lock the door, and cry. And then I say to myself that God didn't send me back for that, and that I have to do something. I ask myself in what I believe, and just one thing was in my mind. I believe that all the Jewish people need to be together. So I decided to go to a journey in Israel and in many Jewish communities all over the world. I told my story because I wanted that all the Jewish people will feel connected to what happened in Israel. And I believe that the main goal of this war is to make all of us together.
During that time, I was still in Gaza, and after Sapir, my mother and my grandmother got released, it was a big relief for me. It was like a fresh air, a fresh air that got into my body and enabled me to stop thinking about what is going on with them and with me. It was a turning point of starting really to process that this is what happened. You are kidnapped, you are in Gaza, you are now in this situation, and what you're going to do with that. It was a long time before I could really reflect about what happened on October 7 with the shooting of my leg, and I thought about it, and I thought, well, although it was a horrible thing that happened to me, but it turned out to be something that helped me a lot. Because of that, when I got to Gaza at first, I was thinking that they will beat me up, tie me, shoot a video and shoot me in the head. When I got in Gaza, and the first thing they did is just something to fixate my leg, although it wasn't much. For me, it was like, wow, at least someone is trying to do something in order to make me feel a little bit better. So from being like expecting the worst, it made me look at things in much more appreciative way. For everything that's happening right now is like, thank God I have something to eat, thank God someone helped me a little bit, thank God I don't know, able to jump on one leg to the shower, because I thought it will be like the worst, and I will not get out of it alive. And also, one of the reasons I'm standing here today is actually because being shot in the leg is put me in the humanitarian list that helped me being released in this deal, in this first part. So looking back at it, you never know what is planned for you. Sometimes you think something very bad is happening right now, but maybe it's a step to do things that will help you cope with the situations that will come ahead in life. At least this is how I see it. And one of the things that I think a lot about right now is what I'm gonna do with the freedom I've got. Like, I'm out, but I have a lot of things I need to do in order to make this world a better place, and mostly in Israel. And it's very, very important for us, for me and Sapir. And we are now focusing a lot on the hostages that are still there in Gaza as well, because for us it's not over until all of them are being back. So there are still 58 hostages. Thank God Idan Alexander is released, and we hope that the other hostages will be released as well as soon as possible. So we ask for you to keep prayer, to keep helping as much as you can in order for this to happen. And yes, and it's our mission right now to find our place and how we can help to make things a little bit better. And thank you very much.
Thank you.